Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé bears all. Let's watch.
And just all these emotions and feelings just came rushing back. And there was a coffee house that was still open in our hotel. So I had invited her back, and we were going to have a cup of coffee. And we ended up spending the night together.
After the tell-all?
Yes.
All right, so we're learning from Ed, who knows if he's telling the truth, but, it's credible, possibly, that after the tell-all, so this is, it's hard to know the exact timeline of when the telephone call was, the infamous telephone call. Maybe some of you know, but he met Liz. They did the dating life, single life show, and I think after the show was shot, they had the infamous telephone call where he was very verbally abusive to Liz. Then I think they did the tell-all, because there's usually a gap between the end of the season and the tell-all. I think that's the timeline anyway. And then now we're hearing that they got back together. Now maybe it's just like a fling that you do after breaking up, or maybe just to make sure that you don't want to be in the relationship. Anyway, let's hear what he says.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Yes.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I didn't either.
You spent the night, and what happened?
The night was amazing. We just held each other.
Now, does Liz consent to that being disclosed to the world? We don't know. Hopefully she's okay with that being out there.
You go back to the hotel, you're intimate that night. Maybe she's thinking you're getting back together and things are going to be better. And then you wake up in the morning and say you can't do it?
Yes. Yes.
What kind? Ed?
I know.
So what did she say when she left?
All right, so we're hearing from him that they had an intimate moment after the tell-all. He woke up in the morning, he said he had a panic attack, and then he told her, I can't do this. So given what we saw in the tell-all, there was some evidence that he said he was in therapy, and there was some evidence that he was moving in a direction maybe of self-awareness and understanding of his personality and his traumas that lead him to hurt other people and to be unaware of certain situations. I'm trying to remember what was happening what my hypotheses were about him. And this is just totally a guess, but if he was having a panic attack, maybe it was like, oh no, I'm falling back into this relationship that caused a lot of pain for both of us. That's very scary. I don't know if this is good. I don't know if this is good for either one of us. I need to leave. Or something else that's going on. The best case scenario, or one of the best case scenarios I can imagine, is that he's like, look, I'm in therapy right now. I can't be close to people intimately, romantically, because I'm learning things about myself that kind of scare me about the way that I am with people. And I don't want to do, I'm so ashamed of what I've done in the past that I don't want to get into that. Oh my God, get me out. That's kind of the best case scenario, but there are other scenarios too that aren't so good. Let's see what he says.
Came a little while ago, but go ahead.
No, this is like a real shithead. So the plan was for us to be together when I got back to San Diego.
Okay.
And I ended up telling her it wasn't going to work. It was a very lovely text, but a horrible text.
In a text?
In a text.
All right, so he's admitting that it was wrong to break up with her again, or I don't know. Has he ever broken up with her? Well, he's yelled at her over the phone for that, over texting. And he feels bad about that. Okay, and yeah. Now, it's not that breaking up over texting is wrong. It's that usually, and not always, people want there to be respect given to the relationship, You don't want to be married to someone for 25 years and then get a text that's saying that, oh, by the way, I moved out. It's disrespectful. It doesn't acknowledge like the weight of it, and it doesn't show that you care. And so now you can do that over texting. Some people actually would prefer to be broken up over texting because they don't want to have to deal with you. It's like, just tell me. It's going to hurt, but I don't want to have to sit there in front of you and cry. Like texting me is fine. So it's not about texting is wrong. It's about, if you're going to break up with someone, what do you think is, given your options, what do you think is going to happen to the other person, and do you care? And proceeding according to that. So apparently what he's saying is Liz didn't take it well, which is, pretty typical. And he did that. Now, the other thing to consider is, am I just convincing myself that texting is okay because I'm trying to avoid someone yelling at me? Because that doesn't work, right? Because now they're not only yelling at you because you're breaking up, but they're yelling at you because you did it over text.
I destroyed her. She loved me. I broke up with her 8 times via text. And the last time was the last time, and that was it.
Okay, so now he's saying he has broken up with her 8 times over text. I destroyed her. It's pretty strong language. I don't know if that's necessarily, if Liz were there, he'd be like, honey, you didn't destroy me. I don't know what she would say. But she seemed pretty attached to him. So it could have been on that level. Is this some kind of weird power play that he plays to feel special? People do that when I don't know. I hate to think that about anybody, including Ed, but is it that he's been humiliated so much in his life that he needs to humiliate other people? People will do this. It's a common thing. I mean, Say Anything, the movie with John Cusack, filmed here in Seattle. There's this line that I always remember seeing the movie when I was a kid, that the girl breaks up with John Cusack's character, and he's asking advice from other people, and they're like, just find another babe that looks just like her, bag her and dump her. It'll make you feel better, that kind of thing. It's a thing. It's like, oh, I feel low, I feel small, I feel unattractive. If I find someone else and I'm the one in control, I have hand, as they would say in the Jerry Seinfeld universe, then I feel more powerful. Okay, I feel good. But at someone else's expense. Is that what he's doing? Or is it that, more likely, given what we heard in the phone call, given what we saw, in the last season, I think he gets triggered pretty easily and hurt pretty easily and then angry pretty easily. And then he will, like on the phone call, Liz had driven this guy home to help him out, to drive him home. And it seems like that was the only thing that happened. Liz didn't cheat. Liz didn't lie to him or anything. Liz even called Ed and says, is it okay if I drive this guy home? And Ed, on the phone, seemingly was berating her and verbally abusing her and not listening to her and calling her names and putting her down in a fairly aggressive manner, allegedly, from the phone call. And that's a pattern of abuse. And people, we have psychopathic abusers, sadistic abusers who are just out to hurt other people. The vast majority of people who engage in abuse, it's because, one, they don't know how to deal with attachment injury. If your spouse drives someone else home, it could be a little bit of a worry, like, oh, are they going to get together with that person? And I think Ed has insecurities about other men who look different than him. I think he feels inferior to that and worries about that a lot. And so maybe he was bullied along those lines or rejected along those lines. So he gets hurt by that. And then his answer is to control and to put down. It's a way of trying to say, I'm going to hurt you, and I'm going to show you how much you hurt me, because I don't want you to do this again. And we all kind of do this, honestly. When you're in a fight or a tiff with your partner, and they're like, well, you never listened to me. And then that you're hurt by that, and you're like, well, you never listened to me. Well, part of the reason, or at least the outcome, is like, I'm just going to hurt your feelings. You hurt my feelings, I'm going to hurt yours. We all kind of do that. But to the abusive person, they, do it 100 times worse. And there's also an element of entitlement, sometimes an element of misogyny, of, women don't have power. I can control other people. I have entitlement as a man, that kind of thing. And so we saw that. And we've heard Ed give a narrative of past situations with Liz and with Rose that seemed completely oblivious to what had actually happened. And he would frame it later like, either I was a big jerk face, and maybe I can kind of salvage my self-esteem by saying, well, I was the one who ended it with them because, I didn't want to be with them. That seems to be the mode he's in right now. It's kind of, look at me, Liz wanted to be with me and I broke up with her because, that's how special I am. Women want to be with me. I don't know. I don't want to accuse Ed of that. Who knows? That's not an accusation. It's just an hypothesis about personality. So there's that possibility. The other possibility is that he's trying to cover up what happened in reality because he's done this before where he will be volatile, triggered, and then volatile, and then later on will tell a story as if it was this kind of simple affair. So let's see if we get more details here. And I hope that Liz is okay with this being talked about, because is she done with the show? Is she still on the show? I don't know.
And I've spent the last 6 months, Sean, in therapy realizing what an asshole I was.
Okay.
Normally I would be encouraged by this because he said this before of, I'm going to therapy now and I'm realizing how much of a jerk face I am. But he's done this before, and he definitely does this with Rose and with Liz, where he will be a jerk face because I think he's being triggered, and some kind of inferiority or abandonment trigger or something, and he engages in the defense, which is to be mean. And then when he feels as though she's reached her limit and she's pulling away, then he flip-flops to this place of, I'm a jerk face. And he gets that very face, that face of like, it seems very sincere, very, thick with emotion, if you will. Just like, yeah, I'm an a-hole. I'm a jerk face. I'm so sorry. I've made a mistake. But there's never any substance to it. He never says, I'm a jerk face because this. I'm a jerk face. There's something wrong with me. It's always like, I'm so sorry. I'm just so sorry. It's not. Now, we don't know. Maybe there is something behind it, but frequently we don't hear it. And sometimes there's evidence there is nothing behind it, because the Roses or the Lizes will say, well, yes. And they'll be like, well, what? I'm just so sorry. I just want you back. And then the relationship gets back, and then it's back down the road of a-holery. So is that what we're seeing? Or has he truly learned something in therapy? I don't know. I would like to think that 6 months of therapy would help him a little bit, but who knows? He could have a long road before him before he really has self-awareness. 6 months of therapy is a long time. It's not very long when you have a lot of relational traumas, a lot of weird defenses that you've been using for your whole life.
Oh, those are some long text messages. Just read it.
Okay, I'm done running from who I am, and I want to learn how it can be better, and I just want a better version. I just want a better version for what's to come. So that's very much in line with his, that mode, that please, forgive me, I'm sorry mode that he goes into. That appears, I don't know, because I'd have to really drill down with Ed if I were to know for sure. But from what we've seen on the show, it appears to have no substance. It appears to be a mode that he goes into to get people to come back to him. We all want relationships. We all want security. And when we've disappointed someone, we want to have them forgive us so we can move forward. And he's just very good at going into this mode where it convinces other people that, he's comprehensively sorry, when in reality he's just saying he's sorry, which is nice. It's nice to say it's my fault, I'm the a-hole, I did something wrong. It's nice. It's a step in the right direction for sure. Other cast members would never do this on the show. But it lacks substance because it lacks any kind of introspection, any kind of like, well, why did I do that? What did I do? How did it make you feel? There's nothing along those lines. You'll hear me talk about all the steps of a proper apology. Not that there's rules about apology, but apologies serve two purposes. One is it's just, meaning it serves justice, that it's fair, that when you do something wrong to someone, they deserve you to acknowledge it, to apologize for it, to accept responsibility, to show that you want to make things different. The other function that apologies serve is that it helps you, the person who's apologizing, to know what happened so that you can not do it in the future, because you don't want to harm other people in the future. So those are the reasons. And to address those two reasons fully, you have to really investigate, how did I do that to someone? What exactly was that? Why did I do that? Why did what led me to do that, so that I can not do it in the future? And I need to demonstrate that work, that introspection work, and that planning for the future work to the person that I transgressed upon. Okay, I'm getting through this stuff every day. I'm not going to lie, it's hard, but therapy is making all the difference for me. Okay. Again, are we still in the I'm sorry mode, or are we in a genuine self-reflective, really knowing what he did, how he wronged someone else, instead of just words?
I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't. For the first time, someone was stupid enough to give a shit about him. And I had to be that stupid.
Yeah, I feel bad for Liz. If, the phone call was any indication of what their relationship was like, it sounds like it was, meaning that it happened multiple times. That's traumatic. And now she's, ashamed of herself, blaming herself, when it's, she's young. She met someone, she liked him. He seemed like a nice guy. It seemed exciting in the beginning, and then it got bad. And then you thought, well, maybe if I work harder, maybe if, he's apologizing, you did everything you could have done. And then it didn't work out. It's certainly not her fault, seemingly.
Do you still love him? Yeah, I do feel like I still love Ed, but it's over. I'm not gonna give in to a text message anymore. I deserve better than that.
Total speculation, but there are people who are raised in a way that make them feel very comfortable, pathologically comfortable, with people who treat them badly, because they were treated badly growing up, or they were treated like they didn't matter growing up. And so, one, they don't detect when they're being treated poorly because it just feels normal. Two, they might even be attracted to people that treat them badly because they're trying to work out something that happened in the past. This is, repetition compulsion, as Freud called it. This is projective identification, as Klein and Winnicott and others have called it. That we will experience things growing up and they become internalized, and then if they're difficult and conflictual, and we internalize that difficultness, and we want to resolve it, and we can't go back in time. We can't get in a time machine, go back to when we were 5 and try to resolve it with our parents. So we might recreate the relationship with someone else in the current, hoping that we can resolve it in a different way. We can finally get that love from that person who is withholding or something. Now, this is subconscious. It's not a conscious act. Who would do that consciously? It doesn't make any sense. Why would I recreate a difficulty from the past in the present? That doesn't sound like a good strategy. But we do it, For some of you out there, think about all of your past relationships. Even if you're in a good relationship right now, think about all your past relationships that didn't go well. There's usually a pattern, and usually that pattern can be traced back to our early childhood. It doesn't always look the same when we're young, but it'll have similar themes of abandonment or abuse or denial or lying or cheating or invasiveness and enmeshment, other kind of yelling, these kinds of things, and inconsistency, emotional coldness, withdrawal. There's certain themes. You're not good enough, criticism, obviously. There's certain themes that are very common to human experience that I will see in childhood and then in adulthood. So, I don't know if that's the case for Liz, but I will commend her for being able to be honest. A lot of people in her position on the show would be like, I'm not in love with that guy anymore, even though it's totally normal to still have feelings. it shows that Liz has a good heart and that she's confident enough to admit it. She's, the producer asked, do you still love Ed? She has a lot of, she knows probably what's going on the internet about them. So she has a lot of reasons to be like, no, I'm not in love with them anymore. But she answers, she pauses for a long time and answers the question honestly of like, yeah, I do have feelings for him, but it's over. It's a very honest, differentiated response. And it might be hard to hear. Like, why would you feel that way? Love is strange.
Want to treat another woman like that ever.
Why didn't you just at least call her or tell her in person that it wasn't going to work? Why the text message?
Because I was weak.
This is not encouraging. Earlier on, when he would do this, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's good. You're taking ownership. You're not blaming other people. You're taking responsibility. But we've seen this so many times. He said he broke up with her 8 times. So at what point are you like, maybe I shouldn't do that again? Now, maybe he's highly triggered at the moment. I don't know. But and his narrative, when he's in the apology mode, I'm sorry mode, there's a lot of self-deprecating, just kind of blanket statements. I'm weak. I'm an a-hole. There's something wrong. Well, he doesn't say there's something wrong with me. He's just like, I'm a jerk. Instead of, he says, I'm weak. And hopefully Sean will ask, weak about what? What were you weak about? You could tell me more. Because she asked, why didn't you just call? He's like, because I was weak. He says things like that, and there's nothing behind it, seemingly. There's nothing like, well, yeah, I was weak. I, at the time, was scared to face her, and I should have faced it. And I was so scared that if I called her, she'd yell at me, and I don't like that kind of feeling. And so I chickened out when I texted her, and I don't know. I do that sometimes, some breath there, but he's just like, because I'm weak. Okay, weak about what? Are you just saying that because you think that will end the conversation? Or is there, pages and pages of explanation behind that word? Let's see.
I knew that if I saw her or spoke to her that I wasn't strong enough.
What would have happened?
I wasn't strong enough to leave her, and then I would have kept hurting her.
Okay, so that's interesting. That wasn't what I was expecting to hear. So he's saying that if I called her, I would have gotten back together with her because I am compelled towards her, but then I would have hurt her. Okay, that's a little more promising. It's a lot better than what I thought was going to happen here. Now, I wonder what that would be, why he would, maybe because maybe he'll go into it. Like, why would he predict that, one, I want to be with her, but I will hurt her? Because he knows through therapy, I get triggered very easily and then I attack. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, let's see what he says.
And hurting her. And I couldn't do that. And I can't take back what I did to her. I can't. I can never, ever take that behavior back. The only thing I can do is own what I did and never do it again.
Okay, so maybe there's substance behind it. I don't know. I can't tell. I hope that there is. There's a chance, given what he was saying, but there's also a chance he's just in the I'm sorry mode, and he's just saying what he's learned over time gets people to stop accusing him of something. I don't know. All right, well, that is for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.